What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Rowdy Player One channel. The time has finally come. It's time for the top 5 books of all time for me. I have been reading for about 14 months now, so I've read right at 60 to 65 books, I guess, probably 65 books. And I didn't want to put out a top 10 yet because I know I could, obviously, but I want to stick to the top 5 right now. And then next year, move it out to a top 10 because by then I've read over 100 books. And I don't, personally, I don't think I could get a top 10 out of 60 something books. I mean, just percentage wise, I could make it happen, but I feel cheated if I did. So I'm not going to do that. So next year, when I've read over 100 books, 10%, best ever, I can do that. But right now we're going to do top 5. But we do have, as always, on the normal, tier ranking or top 5, 10, 20, whatever books, there is honorable mentions. And I have one. This book got me basically, I want to say, really into fantasy. It was kind of the gateway into fantasy for me. I'd read a couple of other books, but what really got me into the good fantasy stuff, my honorable mention is going to be Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. The Final Empire is book 1. I can remember reading this for the first time and just being like, this is incredible. Like, how does it get better than this? And everyone down there is like, oh, you think that's good? Wait till you all this other stuff. Like, there's no comparison. I mean, but this got me into it, and I think it deserves an honorable mention to me because I loved this book when I first read it. And I know that if it wasn't for this, I don't know if I'd love fantasy as much, but this really got me into it. So, Mistborn, The Final Empire, honorable mention. Now, number 5, my first book into the grimdark genre. And a lot of people love this, and a lot of people say it's probably the weakest of them all. But that's going to be Joe Abercrombie's The Blade Itself. I've not read the others yet, so I'll caveat that right now. I know the next one is Before They Were Hanged, and then Last Argument of the Kings is the first 3 in the trilogy. It will be done this year. I have them on the shelf over there, so I'm just waiting till the time's right for me to knock those other 2 out. But this book was the first book I'd read that you don't even have to know who is saying what is being said on the page. You know who it is by the words that are spoken. I've never read that before in a book before I got to The Blade Itself. I mean, you know when Glocta's speaking. You know when Logan Ninefingers is speaking because the way they talk. The plot of this don't really go anywhere. People get upset about that, and I don't care. Like, this is a character-driven book if I've ever seen one. It's all about the character and the dialogue with them. I mean, it is so good. And I know supposedly it gets way better, but as of right now, this is the only thing I've ever read of his, and dang, it's amazing. So, number 5, The Blade Itself, Joe Abercrombie. Number 4. I talked to this author quite a few times before I ever got to read his book, and he's super cool dude. And I bought it and got it here, and I was like, man, it just sounds so awesome, like right up my alley. And dang, it sure was. That's Sledge by Nick Horvath. Number 3, no, number 4. I see I've done lost count on what number. Number 4. Sledge by Nick Horvath. So dang good. This is like a one-man army, one-man wrecking crew. Like, if you got a problem, Sledge will solve it. I mean, it's unreal how good this book is. non-stop action, incredible fight scenes. Like, stuff happens in this book that in any other book, the main character would be dead. I mean, there's no question. Like, buried, gone, But Sledge, he always finds a way. It's always insane. I mean, I don't even know what all to say about this. Like, this book is crazy good. Man, the ending, it will throw you for a loop that you never see coming. Like, I never suspected the ending to end like that. And I think later on this year is when book 2 comes out, and I will be right on that as soon as it does, because I cannot wait to continue this story. Like, I'm craving more of this action. It's so good. If you like 80s action movies, this is it. This is the pinnacle of 80s action movies and books. I mean, tell me what's better if you've read more. And I probably won't believe you, but that's okay. You can tell me if you want to. But this right here, all I can say. Number 4, Sledge. Number 3 is another indie book. And that's how good indie authors are. I mean, it's unreal. And this one, I consider myself a friend of this author as well, because she is incredible. Just her book is so good, and it gave me nightmares. That's Dark Bloom by Molly McCobb. Number 3, best all time for me so far. I don't get, I mean, I'm 40 years old. It is extremely rare to get a nightmare about anything anymore. But this book gave me nightmares for 2 days. And it wasn't even the zombies that's in it. It's the main character, Kate, who has to go through what she does with all the flashbacks before the zombie outbreak. I mean, it blew my mind. I am an extremely slow reader, to say the least. Like, if I can read 50 pages a day, and I can't even do that every day, I'm doing extremely well. I'm just really slow. This book is 300, too close to it, 280 pages. I read it in 2 days. Couldn't stop. I literally could not stop reading. I'm sorry, 3 days. I could not stop reading this book. It was so good. Only reason I ever stopped when I did at the time was because I had to sleep. Other than that, this is all I wanted to do. I cannot wait for book 2 for this one neither. I mean, I don't know if it comes out this year or next year, but I'm on pins and needles needing more of Dark Bloom. Like, it doesn't, for horror, I mean, Stephen King, I know I talked to Molly, and she's a huge Stephen King fan. And I have not read any Stephen King, so I'm very excited to. That will be done this year. My gosh, this is so good. Do not miss this book because it's awesome. Dark Bloom is number 3. Number 2 is Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. This right here, I'm going to say since June, maybe? June or July. I think that's right. August, somewhere in there, of last year was the best book I'd ever read. It blew my mind in anything possible. Like, I'd said Mistborn was great, and then people had told me just wait because there's so much more stuff that's better than it. And I'd started Stormlight Archive and read The Way of Kings, and the first 500 pages did not click with me at all. But the next 500, everything just clicked. And I got into the characters, and I got into the atmosphere, and, Kaladin was just, man, he was going through it. Finish that, and then go into, I mean, greatness. That's all I can say. Words of Radiance is greatness. It got, I know it's Shallan's story, but this was still when I liked Shallan. That's the crazy thing about it. And Kaladin was the guy in this. I mean, I could not believe how this book touched me. It was so good. It had everything in it as well. I mean, it's got, epic battles. You know, that final battle that with Kaladin and Seth was just, it was mind blowing. It's the best battle scene I'd read ever at the time. It may be still. I don't know. There's been some good battle scenes I've read so far here lately, but dang, it was good. But Kaladin in this, so good. Please, if you can handle a huge sprawling series like the Cosmere, Stormlight Archive is unbelievably good. The first 3 books, the last 2, they're okay. This one right here is like the pinnacle. It's unreal how good it is. Yeah, that way. And my favorite book of all time right now is Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. This took over for Words of Radiance last month. And I don't know if it just hit me at the right time, but I don't know what to say. I loved every page in this book. It is nonstop, action-packed, thrill ride, political intrigue. You've got crazy battles. You've got backstabbing. You've got friends betraying what you think is your friend, and love interests that you think, I mean, they think they hate each other and they don't. They love each other. It's got everything. And it's so wild. Space battles, you know, hand-to-hand combat. Oh my gosh, it's all. It never, I mean, this book, it starts at 150 miles an hour where the speed limit's 35, and it never stops. It just goes and goes and goes and goes. And you get up for a breath like, holy cow, they slow down for a second, and it's right back to it again. Like, it never ends. And it's so good. I cannot wait to read Morningstar because this right here is incredible. So, this is number 1 for me, Golden Sun. My top 5 books of all time, right, as of 2025. We'll see what we do for 2026. Also want to say at the end, I know some people are going to be like, well, what about this series? What about this? What about this author? Let me say, I have not read George R.R. Martin. I have not read Tolkien. I have not read Robin Hobb. I've not read Fonda Lee. I've not read Stephen Erickson. I mean, you name major heavy hitters. I've not read Stephen King. All of them are here. You can see them in different spots. They're going to get read right there. So some others, they will get read. And I'm hoping to get to all of them this year because what I'm trying to do is knock out all these series. And once I finish a series and I move on to the next, I don't want to start any new ones till I'm done. So that's why I only did a top 5. Another reason of it is I want to knock out a bunch of series as well. So I'm hoping next year, you know, early next year, we're going to do a top 10. And this whole list may be crazy different. I mean, obviously there are going to be more books, but man, I've got so much to read. And I'm so excited to read it and can't wait. Anyways, that's all I got. I hope y'all enjoyed this. If you would, leave a comment. Let me know what your top book is or top 5 if you got one. Heck, if you got a top 10, leave it. I don't care. I'd love to see it. Then that way you can give me suggestions on, you need to read this now. Like, quit waiting, you know, get to it. Like the video if you would, and share it out. I really appreciate it. And also subscribe to the channel so we can keep moving up. Other than that, y'all have a good day. Bye.